The Suscon Screamer. Where do I even begin with this one? I've been hearing stories about the Suscon Screamer since I was in high school in the late 90s. Plain and simple, it's an urban legend about hearing screams and seeing ghostly apparitions in the woods around Suscon Road. The majority of the stories originated here at this bridge. This was a single-lane underpass, and as you could see, if you were coming from the left there, it'd be pretty hard to see oncoming traffic. So there's been a lot of reports of tragic car accidents and deaths that have occurred here. Here was a more recent photo, recent as in the 1980s. The locals claim that this spot is haunted. One story was of a woman, a bride that was jilted at the altar and hung herself from this bridge and let out a scream. And another was of a girl who escaped from an insane asylum and leaped to her death from this bridge. Now, it's not the biggest bridge in the world, but I thought I'd show you what the real Suscon Screamer Bridge once looked like. All I knew about the Suscon Screamer when I was a teenager, about 20 years ago, was that there was this open metal bridge up near the shooting range, and when you would drive over it, it would make a loud screaming sound. The story was you had to pick your feet up while going over this bridge, or it was bad luck, or some ghost would kill you. As a dumb, stoned teenager, I just played along, not risking bad luck, and at the time I just assumed that's all there was to the Suscon Screamer story. This is the location where the open great metal bridge used to be. It's all smoothly paved over now. And not to confuse this with the other bridge, because they are miles apart, where the one lane underpass was. You're literally seeing this as it happens. I'm up here trying to shoot my video, and I just can't help but notice this red glowing object. It's not quite in the sky, it's in the tree line. And I'm in the middle of the game lands up here, 11 o'clock at night. There's always something strange up here that grabs my attention. Now, it wasn't until about 10 years later that I really got into the subject of Bigfoot for some reason. And I came across a whole bunch of stories from right here in Suscon, maybe about a dozen. All of a sudden, I was back into the Suscon Screamer because I never knew it had anything to do with Bigfoot. There was one story from 1976 where a family driving around a lake in Suscon claimed to have seen 4 Bigfoot hobbling around. Another story I came across was from the early 1980s, where a car full of teenage boys were out on a mountain ride when they claim something resembling a Bigfoot walked across this stop sign and was roughly the same height. Okay, so that's got to be about 9 feet tall. I mean, at this time, it still feels like you're out in the middle of nowhere, and this was the 1980s. Now, a strange personal experience that I had somewhere on Suscon Road here, going back maybe 8-9 years ago. Well, a friend and myself were on a drive at night. I don't know what we were doing up here, but we were driving, and out of nowhere, I look in my rear view mirror and just there's a pair of headlights just right up on me, like literally out of nowhere. There was no turnoffs, no side streets. I mean, this pair of lights was right up on me, and I'm angry. I'm looking in the mirror, trying to figure out where this pair of lights or where this car came from. I'm about to slam on my brakes and pull over and confront this jerk that's riding my rear end. My buddy John sees the same thing. You know, he's looking in the mirrors too. He can't believe what's, happening. Someone's really messing with us. And out of nowhere, boom, nothing. Darkness behind us. Okay, I immediately stop. I get out. Turn around. There's nothing there. Immediately, jump back in the vehicle. Put it in reverse. And now I'm flying in the opposite direction. I'm like, I gotta see where this guy went to. I'm pissed now. That's it. So I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking for a side road, a driveway, a pull-off. Nothing. Whatever that pair of headlights was, or just lights in general, they vanished. To this day, I still don't know what they were, or where it went from. I don't know if it was from a car or what, but it was there. It vanished, and I have no explanation for it. On the topic of lights, one of the urban legends is about 18 street lights throughout all of Suscon Road. And there's a claim that 11 out of those 18 are always burned out, but it's never the same 11 lights burned out at any given time. One of my favorite stories is about the girl on prom night who was waiting to get picked up by her boyfriend that was running very late or possibly not even coming, when, while waiting alongside the road here, she was hit and killed by a hit and run. The story goes that people driving along Suscon Road at night see an apparition of a girl in a white dress, and she's looking to get picked up or looking for a ride. Going back to the beginning, this is the location of where that single lane underpass train bridge was. Now the road is completely open, 2 lanes. Obviously, it is no longer as dangerous as it once was, but the tracks went from that side of the road over to this side of the road. Local residents, especially around this area where the bridge was, for years have claimed to hear screams coming from the woods all hours of the night, even to the point where they called the police because they said the sound was so gruesome they thought a girl was being killed out here. Now, there still is evidence of that bridge being here. There's still railroad tracks, and they cut off right where the bridge would have been. We're gonna go take a look at those tracks. All right, I'm up here at the remaining tracks, the only evidence left that there was a bridge here at one time, and I've stumbled upon a ghost hunt. So obviously you guys believe that the Suscon Screamer stories are true.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've done ghost hunts. Is this your first time?
No.
First time here. Yeah.
First time here, but not
Okay.
our first time out doing an investigation.
We came here early this morning to scope it out, and when we were leaving, about where you're parked up there was a definite train sound. That's all you heard when we rounded the corner. And we stopped, and you just heard clear as day, a train. And then we went again, and it went right away.
Now, did this sound like an old-time train whistle?
No,
like
it was
the clanking.
like an old-time steam engine. You heard the...
And you wouldn't have mistaken that with any machinery from...
No.
Nowadays?
It was extremely clear, and as soon as we went to move away, it disappeared.
All right,
So
so
we ended up coming back up here. We were down here for a little bit. We took a walk all the way down and then backed up. Decided to do...
now these are the tracks that they're referring to. They're still here to this day. They cut off over Suscon Road where the bridge used to be. And if there was any spot left in Suscon with activity, this would be the focal point. So out of the many Suscon Screamer stories, all the urban legends throughout the years, we have Bigfoot stories, we have ghost stories, we have burnt out light stories. I'm assuming, because of your purpose out here tonight, that you believe it revolves around apparitions, some kind of ghostly presence that still hangs around this area. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, personally I believe it's more of an energy that hangs around. And, you know, at a certain time and when everything's right, the energies can apparition themselves, as we saw tonight. So
you are inclined to believe all the local stories about hearing screams in the woods at all hours of the night, to the point where, you know, people have called the police in the middle of the night, 4 a.m. because of screams. You don't think it could be written off as just some kind of animal?
No, this is definitely an apparition.
We've heard it tonight. We've heard different things already.
yeah. Actually, on the way out to go, when you first parked, we went out because his car's out there to check on it. And on the way out, we all of a sudden heard very defined, sounded like a little girl screaming. We were kind of iffy on if we wanted to turn back and come back up here, but we did. And that's when it started getting a little bit worse. Actually, right before you showed up.
Well, there you go.
I live right up the road, and this is probably the first time I've ever been here.
Just coming out here to get a little bit of footage, and what do you know? We have a group of guys that are doing their own investigation of sorts. And right here on the spot, they believe they have seen and heard some things. So the mystery continues. Well, there you have it. It didn't take long to find a couple of locals that still believe, and they've had experiences of their own on what remains of the tracks. Turns out there's actually two sets of tracks here, side by side, running parallel with each other, which is actually kind of confusing, because as far as I knew, there was only one set of tracks that ran over the bridge. But I'll have to ask somebody that's more familiar with the history of this area. But I'm still following the tracks deeper into the woods. The tracks do abruptly end, and time has definitely taken its toll on this area. But it's still pretty cool that there are tracks, there are remains to show some kind of evidence that the bridge was once there. Now it's turned into a dirt road, and looks like there's some kind of construction project going on. So I'm headed back in the direction of where the bridge was, back to Suscon Road. This has got my curiosity piqued a little bit, trying to figure out what used to be here. So along these railroad tracks, right before you get back to Suscon Road, along these tracks there's a huge ditch, and I spotted what looks like to be some kind of tunnel at the bottom of it. I do believe I hear water going through it, but I'm going to try to get down to it. Okay, so it's definitely not a train bridge, or never was a train bridge, but I think it's cool because it's literally about 50 feet away from where the bridge used to be. So if you've watched any other videos on Amazing Pennsylvania, you know I'm more of an explorer than a ghost hunter. But when I came across this is remarkable. And I'm in that same area, Suscon, near the bridge. This is so cool. It's just this huge rock overhang. And I still didn't even get into that little tunnel yet. Like, why is this here? This is amazing. Isn't that awesome? But let's try to keep it on topic of the Suscon Screamer. who knows what I could see out here, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if a Bigfoot or a ghost lived in here. Or a giant caterpillar creature. Well, I'm gonna head back for that tunnel. I just thought this was amazing, and it's just right here where the bridge used to be. So it is just after midnight, and I am looking at a dark tunnel at the bottom of a ravine. Like I said, right near where the bridge used to be. How amazing is this? And I am going to sacrifice getting my feet wet to get in here. Actually, pretty deep. It's a decently long tunnel. And you wouldn't even know it's here. I'm not seeing graffiti or any signs that people hang out down here. The water is crystal clear. There is no garbage. But this is what I do. I find things. I just haven't come across Bigfoot yet, or a ghost. Look at this, absolutely amazing. I can't believe that this is right here, so close to where the old Screamer bridge used to be. And it is past midnight, and I am up to my knees in cold stream water. So I somehow just climbed up out of that ditch from the tunnel, and I'm on a dead-end road in Suscon. Gonna make my way back and then call it a night. Come on, everyone, help this person out. It's heartbreaking. So here's one last shot of Suscon Road. I'm way up on an embankment overlooking Suscon Road, rather. And basically the tracks went from back the location I was at that car turnaround, and then up and over Suscon Road. Or actually at that time it may have all been filled in here and they dug it out to build this new road. I think that's the story. Obviously much safer, no more car accidents. So I'm gonna head out of the area,